Mm. Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back with little Dave and special guest IFBB Pro Justin Compton. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing very well. I promised Lucas that I would give him a shout out at the beginning of the podcast for helping me get this all set up and you on the show. So we just want to say thank you. And Dave and I are monster bodybuilding fans. And I remember when I was getting into bodybuilding and really studying everything, like you were someone on the forefront who just, I told Dale, like, you're someone who gave all of us hope that we could be round and bubbly and be a freak one day.
You guys were getting started probably what about 2012 to 2014 range?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a little
Okay.
bit earlier. I was like 2008, 2009.
Oh, okay. I did my first show in 2007. So
Okay. Okay. Heck yeah. Because I remember like when you did nationals with Fauchery. Like I remember watching that show and thinking, how in the world does this guy not win the overall?
when I talk about stuff like this, like people always get mad, like when you say, "Oh, this person should have won, that person should have won."
Right.
It's not like that you don't like the other person. Like I actually like Brian Yersky. Like we get along really good, but I personally thought that I beat him that day.
Yeah.
I didn't know it when we were on stage, if I'm being honest. Like,
Right.
to be fair, going into finals, everyone guaranteed me that I was winning my class, and I was like, I don't know about that.
Right.
Like, I'm one of the bodybuilders that was a little bit more, I don't want to say pessimistic, but I wasn't. I was the opposite of the ego guy, the guy that thinks that they should win everything when in reality they can't get past the state show. I
Yeah.
was the guy who obviously had Olympia material, but like I didn't see that.
Right.
So when I look in the mirror, and even like if you would have blurred my face off, I probably would be like, yeah, that guy's going to win. But because I knew it was me, I'm just like, well, maybe I'm third, maybe I'm second, maybe a miracle happens and I win the class.
Right.
But like when I won the class, me standing next to Brian backstage, I couldn't tell. Then when the photos came out, I was like, man, I kind of think that one, kind of think I should have got that one. But, you know, either way, I wasn't upset in any way, shape, or form because
Right.
I went from 13th place the year before to
Right.
winning it. I was just happy to be there in the mix. I didn't like losing the overall to me was not, I didn't even think I'd ever be in the overall.
Right. Yeah. That's really cool hearing you say that because, like, from the outsider, and I'm Dave, I'm going to speak for both of us. Like, I'm sure in our minds we thought, man, this guy's an absolute genetic freak. But you're saying you didn't see that whatsoever.
No.
No.
The
Yeah.
only time I think I ever actually looked at a photo of myself and I was like, "Damn, you look pretty good,"
Mhm.
was probably right before I retired. It was photos that the internet has never seen before.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like I was at 290, 288 to be specific,
Okay.
and I was still in very good shape at 288.
Right.
Like not ready to walk on stage, but I was
Yep.
predicting my 2017 season to be somewhere around 270.
Jesus Christ.
So I had finally figured out my digestion. So like
Okay. Right.
that was literally never going to be an issue for me.
Mhm.
The stomach thing was gone. That was resolved.
Yeah.
So, and I had like two or three shows where it wasn't perfect. So I think that costed me a good amount of money and a couple of placings, here and there. But
Yeah.
I figured that out. And not only that, like I figured out like my body was responding to everything that I was trying to do with it.
Mhm.
So it was only to the very end that I realized, like, you actually do belong here. Now that I'm retired, I can look back at the photos and be like, yeah, you were pretty good. Like, you did okay.
Yeah, like those crazy black and white photos with Per Bernal and MD. Dear God, like those are wild. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Those were
Well,
insane. I remember, yeah, those were the holy shit photos.
right. Which ones? You said they were pair shots, right?
yeah, those black and white ones in MD. Like,
Yeah, the muscular development ones.
yeah.
I don't know. They probably didn't even give me the magazine. So I'm actually confident that they didn't give me the magazine. So like, I don't even know if I saw them.
Oh, what? That's crazy. That's
Well,
wild.
so when you sign a contract with a magazine, and then when the photographer shoots you, you don't own your images.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You don't get your own. Like you don't even get a fucking copy of it. You don't get nothing. because back then, everything was all about exclusivity, which is
Right.
why Instagram and Facebook kind of phased the magazines out because,
Yeah.
nothing's exclusive nowadays with internet rights and stuff.
Yeah.
So I never got half the images. Like I feel like I have some really cool shots out there that's sitting on someone's camera roll
Right.
that's never been published, never been released.
Oh,
And I'm not, I mean, I look at it like this. I'm not going to pay for my own picture that you took of me.
right.
Like that's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
happening. Like, well, not only it would be different if I was paying for the photo shoot, but you've
Yes.
already
Right.
been paid for that photo shoot. The
Correct.
magazine's already paid you for it. If you think I'm going to pay you for it too, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That makes logical sense to me. You're like, you made shitloads of money off my images.
Yeah, and then like I don't even get like if I see one surface, I may repost it,
Right.
but like I can't just go up to the photographer. I mean, I could ask, but I'm just going to get declined.
Right. Yeah. That's insane to me to think about in retrospect of where we are with Instagram, YouTube, and things now, right? Like, all right. So let's dig into like Dave and I's podcast is about the nuts and bolts of bodybuilding, right? And
Yep,
one of the things that I always remember with you is, or at least this is my memory, at least, and I could be wrong, so correct me. Like you were a high volume trainer, right?
very.
Okay, perfect. When you see today's climate shifting towards just like super low volume, minimal, almost minimalist approach, long rest periods, like does it make you cringe or you're just like, that's another way we could do it? Or do you think physiques have taken a backslide from getting away from high volume?
I've seen both. Like I have seen good physiques come out of low volume. I mean, obviously the number one that we think about Dorian, right?
Correct. Yep.
So like there's no way I could argue and say that it doesn't work.
Right.
I think it works better with specific body types though. I
100%.
mean, if you look at the I'm just going to use the cream of the crop. If you look at the Mr. Olympias, the only Mr. Olympia that I'm aware of that actually did low volume was Dorian. And obviously, we could argue that Mike Mentzer could have taken like that, was it 1980 Mr. Olympia?
Right.
We could argue that he did low volume, but like if you look at all the other guys, they didn't really do low volume. Like
Agreed.
I said, there's something to be said about it. Like you're going to get strong, you are going to gain muscle, but like, do I think it's the most optimal approach? If I'm going to take society or take the bodybuilding society as a whole, I'm going to say 80 to 90% of them are probably going to do better on higher volume than lower volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree there.
And
Especially,
go ahead,
I
Dave.
feel like so many kids have it backwards nowadays because they jump into low volume when they're 140 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, at
And
that weight, you can handle, like,
yeah,
especially if
it's
you're a
like,
kid, you can handle a lot of volume.
yeah,
I would
exactly.
want to maximize my youth. Like, when you're 18 years old, there's no reason why you should be doing 170.
Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly.
Yes.
Like you might as well do two, 3 or 4, because like you said, you're gonna handle it. Versus like when you're, in your 30s or 40s, it's like you may need to take a step back at that point. But why, if you're
That's where I'm at now. Is like now that I'm 37, it's like if I look back at my logs and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I can do those workouts anymore.
Right. Right.
Training, 40 sets in the morning to failure, and then 40 sets at night to failure. I was like, I think those days are gone.
How would you structure your day for those double splits, like as a whole, start to finish?
Well, so for the viewers out there and you guys, like, I didn't have a job. Bodybuilding was the job because I had 3 paid endorsement contracts. I'm making way over 6 figures and I'm winning shows. So, like, basically, I'm paid to eat, sleep, and work out, like, or however I decide I want to do that, as long as I'm producing.
Yeah.
So typically, I would wake up and I had to set an alarm because I wanted to make sure that I had a structured day. I would wake up, I'd have meal one, and then I would train after that. Usually about an hour, hour and a half. Actually, I'd get up and I'd have a coffee and I'd decompress a little bit. And then I'd eat, and, would train. And then I'd have my post workout. And usually that consisted of a shake and liquid carbs. So back then it was glycogen and the isoject, which was Hani's protein and carb formula.
Right.
That was post workout. And then by then I would say we're looking at about 10:30 in the morning. So I would have 2 more solid food meals. And then I'm just watching. If I had the ability to nap and I felt tired, I would nap. Again, the girl I was seeing at the time, she worked morning shifts. So I had the whole morning in the house to myself. So like I can do whatever I want. So I would basically watch TV or take a nap, whatever I felt was my body wanted. And then I would train after, I guess that would technically be considered meal one, post workout. Train after meal four, I would come back in for a PM session. And then I would do another post workout shake and then two more meals, and that would be it. So I'm usually starting the day probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm finishing it around 9 to 10 at night.
Right. Which is incredible, like in terms of like just like machine mode
I
of
was
keeping your mental.
very like there was times that I had my day scheduled with meals, and I did not deviate. Like if I'm on the phone with you and it's time to eat, I'm either gonna say, man, I gotta go. And if you just keep talking, I'm probably gonna hang up. I'm just
Right.
gonna be like, okay, this guy won't shut the fuck up. I'll call him back in 15 minutes. Like I remember someone was telling me a story. It was a good friend of mine. He's close with Jay Cutler, and I
Mhm.
guess he was him and Jay were having a conversation. And Jay's a very positive guy. He said, I don't deal with negativity."
Right.
And my buddy was telling him some stuff he was going through, and he looks down. He's like, "That fucker just hung up on me." And then he calls him like 6 hours later. He goes, "Hey man," he goes, "Did you hang up?" He goes, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "I don't want to hear that shit right now."
That's
That
incredible.
would have been me with the meals. I would have entertained like whatever you got going on. Like if you interrupted my training or my meals, I'm just gonna hang up.
Right. That's
Oh,
great.
great. Yeah, I do that now. Like I have to be like in my mental space to have my food. Like if I have a whole bunch of
Yes.
shit happening, it's like it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I don't even want to have a conversation like while I'm trying to eat.
Right.
Like if I'm eating, I'm like a dog that just puts his head in a bowl and just eats until it's done.
Right.
Yep.
And that's how I had to do it.
Yeah.
And that was always something like I was always like friendly with people, like except two places. One, while like mid set, like if I'm not stopping, like if someone interrupts my set, I'm not going to be happy with you. But
Right.
also, like if I'm at a restaurant and I'm sitting down, I'm on a date or friends or family, and I'm like sitting down eating, and I have to look up to answer, like, "Hey man, how much do you bench press?" I'm probably going to be a smart ass at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that two day training, how often would you take rest days? Or was it just built
Once
on
a
how you
week.
felt? Once a week.
Once
Okay.
a week. I had that scheduled, but I didn't do that my entire career because
Okay.
that's not sustainable long
Right.
term.
Right.
I was able to handle it about 6 to 8 week periods, and I saw like a massive growth during that time.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I still did high volume, but it was usually 5, 6 days a week. At one point, and I do not recommend this to anyone because, again, my situation, I eat, sleep, and work out. That's all I had to do.
Yeah.
At one point, when I was 10 weeks out from the Orlando Pro, I never took an off day for the entire 10 weeks. I actually, after the show was over, because I think that show ended at like, it ended pretty early in the day for finals.
Mhm.
I actually went and did cardio after the show. And then I trained the very next day. And I think I trained like 8 or 10 more weeks straight without a day off training. And that's not because I'm like, oh, I'm so hardcore.
Right.
I felt good,
Yeah.
like, and I loved it. Like there was no fatigue, there was no recovery was never an issue.
Right.
So like as long as I was recovering, and then finally I got to that point where I was like, man, I'm this is catching up to me. Like it's time that we're gonna have to take a little bit of break off the training,
Right.
drop it to 4 days a week. And then that's the point also where I came down to TRT.
Right.
Like we gotta let everything have a break.
Right.
But
So
I
when
also think that's when I made like some of the most significant progress.
oh, I can only imagine. So for all the viewers out there, when you say you felt you knew you needed to pull back, what were some signs? Was it joints? Was it mental? A combination?
It was a combination of everything. I started noticing that like my sleep, I kind of nodding off, but I couldn't stay asleep. It's like my central nervous system was starting to get taxed way too much.
Right.
It's one of those things like have you ever had a day in your life where you just work your ass off and you think I'm going to go home and I'm going to pass out like, like you're dead. And instead it's kind of the opposite. Like you toss and turn because you're actually overworked.
Yeah.
I was starting to get to that point where the mental fatigue was there. The digestion was starting to slow down. The insulin sensitivity was getting a little bit messed up.
Right.
And then again, the joints, because I was getting stronger and stronger, my joints wasn't keeping up with things. The soreness and the like, I don't really think the soreness was really that much of it, but like my mental fatigue, like if I'm not like perky, And I'm just like, I was kind of like down. I was like,
Yep.
okay, we need a breakdown. Like I'm 25, 6, 7, feeling like I'm 45 or 47. Like we can't be doing this.
Right. Yeah. So with your food, were you a high protein, moderate, low? Where did that fall?
I think I usually like when I did my own thing,
Mhm.
I tried to keep it between 400 and 420 a
Okay.
day,
Yep.
regardless of whether it was twice a day training or once a day training. It was between 400 and 420. There may have been times that like I fall into what I feel like a lot of guys do, like when they want to have a healthy snack, they'll have like a protein bar or something like that. I'm like, really, you'd probably be more beneficial to have like a cereal bar or whatever, because once you break a certain amount of protein, it's kind of, I don't really feel it's beneficial.
Right.
Like I've seen some programs where guys has eaten over 600 grams, and I'm like, I mean, is it going to kill you? Probably not.
Right.
But is it benefiting you at the maximum potential? Probably no.
Right. Yep.
Like you'd be better off if you need that many calories. I'd rather pull 200 grams of protein and add maybe like 100 grams of carbs and 50 grams of fats to that in order to make that up.
Yeah. Because I mean, the climate of today is like 1 gram per pound of body weight, and I'm just not with that.
It's like
I,
lower than that. It's like
Oh, right.
they're
Okay.
like arguing for like 0.5.
this has got to be your science-based lifters, right?
1000%. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not hating on the science-based lifting because I like the ideology of it. Like I like the ideology of being safe in the
Yeah.
gym, but at the same time, all these guys that preach the science-based this, science-based that, not a single fucking one of them has ever produced results with clients or themselves. And when I say results, I'm not talking about winning, the local Mr. Florida, Ohio, Kentucky. I'm talking about you earned your pro card. You made top five in a pro show. You won a pro show. We've never seen a freak follow that type of training and actually succeed.
No.
Like there's a reason why bodybuilders do it a certain way and it's effective.
Yeah.
For
That's what
sure.
we try to stand on every week. So it's great, like to hear someone with your success and ability to attain a level of size that a fraction of our population ever will, and to know that like protein is high, training is high, like all of that works in synergy to build just an absolute freak physique. And it wasn't with wrist cuffs strapped around your fucking biceps.
Yeah, I didn't do any like I tried to keep my movements strict form, but I didn't do any of that dumb shit that we see. Like there's a guy that I follow, I gotta give him credit, man. He literally just he roasts all these little young kids doing that. Like I've seen things where people will have like their elbow strapped here and then a strap here, and they're doing an extension, trying to isolate. And I'm like, your physique would be so much better if you didn't do that shit. Like you have stabilizer muscles for a reason. You're gonna want those to actually grow and get stronger.
Yeah, yeah,
So, like if I'm doing a push down, I didn't like strap my arms to my body and have them tucked back. I just simply kept them as close as I can and kept my form right. And I did it,
right,
and I didn't sit here and worry about, well, could my rear delt be getting a little bit of work? No,
right.
I went through the motions. I pushed heavy ass weight and I went on.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of wild to me because you'll hear them say like, "Well, that doesn't hyper isolate the chest." I'm like, I'm okay if it gets some tricep and shoulder in there.
Yeah. And it's
Like,
always,
fuck.
it's like, and you look at the physiques and it's like, dude, you could afford to use it. You need a little bit of everything. So you should be trying to recruit as much muscle fibers in your body as possible.
Yeah, that's the truth. And then, you go home and they're like, oh, well, I had pizza rolls and Greek yogurt. I don't understand why I'm not growing. And this must be that I'm not taking enough drugs. I'm like, that's not
Yep.
it.
There's that too. Yep. And I sometimes I'll fall victim to this and I'll engage online.
Yeah,
And I realize like the average person, not bodybuilder, but I'm going to say the average gym goer.
right.
That not the one, not again, not the ones that qualify themselves as bodybuilders, but like average gym goer. When it comes to their knowledge of actually building muscle, training, and then the PED side of it, it's so low
Right.
that I feel like I for a lack of better word here, I feel like I'm talking to a retarded person.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
Like
Yes.
I don't know how other way to say that.
Right.
But like I feel like this person like literally doesn't have the capacity to like learn and think on their own.
Yeah.
So I'm to the point now. I don't want to engage with that. It's just a waste of time.
It's
Yeah.
wild because those people will say idiotic things like, "Oh, well, if I took the drugs that Justin did, I'd be like him." And listen, Dave and I both know that's not true.
They could do 10 times and
Right.
they still wouldn't be there.
No, no.
So what's crazy though to me is I've had some encounters like when I was still competing.
Mhm.
So back in that era, like, PEDs was like hush hush, don't talk about it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if I'm one on one with you and there's no camera involved,
Mhm.
we'll talk,
Right.
and I've had people that like literally can't win regional shows. And they're like, man, I'm taking this, this, and this. And I can't imagine what you're taking. And I look at them, I said, I'm actually doing less than you.
Right.
And they look at me and they want to just slap me in the face and call me a liar
Right.
because they don't believe me. But like I've seen regional guys using 2 grams of test and 10 plus IUGH. And I'm like, if you got to do this to win your local contest, like where do you think you're going to go? Like, and I don't mean that in like a negative way, but like, where are you going to go? You think you're going to go pro? You think you're going to actually make an impact in the pro league? You're not.
Right.
And like, and this is where I think most people, I feel like the ones that are doing that, training is probably not efficient. And I'm willing to bet my life that nutrition's not efficient. But let's just say they have them both.
Yeah.
They've got training, they've got nutrition, and they're on gear.
Right.
This is where the genetic side comes in to where we've seen hypo responders, seen regular responders, and then we've got the hyper responders.
Right.
The guys who hops on their first cycle and they put on 12 to 15 pounds of muscle in one cycle.
Right.
But I mean, I've seen guys who literally, no matter what they take, and I can speak, and a couple of these people, I won't name names, but like I know them on a personal level that like they've used more than I have,
Right.
and they're nowhere near the size that I was. And I know they're executing in the gym, and I know they're executing on the food, and it just sucks that they got the shit into the stick when it comes to the genetics with that.
Right. Yeah. And that's tough because most coaches would probably look at that person like, "Oh, your gear's just bad. It's got to be."
Well, that was actually that was the Jansen excuse for a while.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's not my fault.
Yeah, sometimes it's nobody's fault. It's just it is what it is.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, because you can literally show them the way, but it's like sometimes like this isn't for you. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where people think that they just automatically assume that bodybuilders are lying and stuff. But like there is no one size fits all when it comes to things.
No.
And I try to explain to people like if you're not made for this and you don't have the DNA for it, they're just like, oh, that's bullshit. It's just more drugs. I'm like, well, let me ask you this, guys. So if you were to box for 15 years straight, you get into the ring with a prime Tyson or Holyfield, guess what? He can take 6 years off training and he is going to beat the shit out of him
Right. Right.
because
Yeah.
his
Yep.
coordination, his speed, his power, that was all genetic gifts. And then he worked hard to make those gifts,
Right.
get to where they were. So like you can box all you want. You can have hire the best trainers. You can do all the recovery. You can do everything. And you take a guy who's just talented at like fighting or MMA, you're going to lose every single time. So where's the drugs? There's no drug talk on that. It's like basketball. Like I'm a very uncoordinated person when it comes to sports. Well, I never played sports. I can't spiral football to this day. Like I really can't. Like if we're just going to toss across the yard, I can't throw it. I really can't. So again, when it comes to that, some people have a talent to do that, and some people don't.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't see people complaining and saying that it's drugs or whatever. I mean, you either have it or you don't have it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it from all other perspectives of life, some people can take a test, or some people can go to school, they can take a test, not study one bit, and they're straight A's. And then you have the guys who go home and they can study 4 or 5 hours and they're C average.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's our genetics are different just because like we can all do the exact same things in our lives and have different outcomes
Right.
in any sector, no matter what it is.
Correct. So speaking about that in genetics, like obviously you had the ability to put the size on. Like in terms of you coming in condition, did that come relatively easy, like compared to like say people you train now, or was that something you really had to fight for, or somewhere in the middle?
Um, I don't want to say it came easy for me. It got easier once I learned and accepted the process.
Right.
I had
That
never
one, that one
really,
always, sorry to interrupt, but that one always makes me laugh when people, I've had that said to me multiple times of like, man, Dave, you get in shape easy. And you're like, look at them and you're like, well, shit, I've been dieting for 20 weeks for this show.
yeah,
Like, what part of this was easy? Like, like, sure, like I took the body fat off, but like I followed the plan.
yeah. And
You know
that's
what I
something a
mean?
lot of people
Like
just don't do, don't
isn't
follow.
like it's like if like we went on a hike, they're like, man, you got up to the top quick. It was like, well, I walked it, like
Yeah.
like wasn't wasn't when I did it easier. Like it just happened.
Like I was always someone that like if when I was coached, you told me to do it, it got done. There was no excuses, no exceptions to anything. So whatever it was, I did. And I remember I coached myself in my first 5 shows. I did five. I did 6 shows natural, but the last one, Jason Theobald, he did my peak week, and he actually nailed it. But I wasn't like I didn't have striated glutes. My hamstrings weren't dug out. Like I wasn't super peeled.
Right.
I mean, I was good enough to get a national qualification at 19 years old, natural. So I mean, I think that was okay.
Right.
But that being said, though, the next show that I did, I won the Louisville show that Brett Jones promotes.
Right.
Um, that I don't Brent's not even a promoter now. But anyways, Shelby prepped me for that show.
Yeah.
And there was a few times in that prep where I thought, oh, I'm ready. I'm good. And he's like, and I'm thinking out loud, like, because I've had clients tell me the same thing now. They think they're ready. I just push them harder. And I thought, oh, he's going to be satisfied. I was like, we're looking great. And then it's less food, more cardio, more fat burns. I'm like, but he taught me what it took. Like this, like he showed me that I could reach that level of conditioning,
Right.
and you're gonna have to dig deep for it. It ain't gonna come easy. Like there's very, very few people that can actually get truly dug out, and it's just easy. And even then, I don't think it's easy. They're still struggling. They just don't talk about it
Yeah.
because the human body's not meant to walk around at like sub 5% body fat or sub 6% body fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that being said, like the following show I did, this is when me and Fac linked up.
Yeah.
I did a lot less cardio and a lot more food with Factory.
Right.
And it was just completely different approaches.
Yep.
Him and Shelby do not coach the same at all. But again, even though I did less cardio, I still had to suffer. Like it wasn't fun. Now, when I started coaching myself, I basically took like 10 to 12 years of knowledge that I already had. And I was kind of just putting this piece, this piece, this piece, trying to putting things together.
Right.
And maybe I struck gold with it and I just kind of got lucky and I nailed it my first try and I won my first pro show. But like I definitely listened to my body. I didn't do near as much cardio and I actually ate a pretty good amount of food.
Right.
But my day, I actually changed my diet almost every day.
Oh,
It
wow.
was like whatever had to happen that day. Like first thing I do is I wake up, I look at the scale, look at the pictures.
Hmm.
And because I took my own photos and I had to treat myself like a client.
Right.
Like I couldn't pamper myself like, oh, you're tired. No, fuck being tired, man. You got to do what you got to do. Like there was days that I'd get up to 30 or 40 minutes of cardio, and then there's other days I'm like, nah, 20, it's enough.
Hmm.
So like my preps that I did my own, every day was a different day.
That's super cool. And that's actually what I do now. Um, it's hilarious that the first coach I ever had was Shelby, and what you said, like that dude taught me how to suffer. And
Yeah, he'll
and
push you.
oh yeah. I mean, there was like 9 weeks of just no carb, every other day was no fat, and just 2 hours of cardio on the Stairmaster. And I mean,
Mine was similar. Mine was very similar.
and you said, with the fat, I remember like, oh, I don't remember the exact numbers. It was above 100 mcg of Clen and T3. Like,
My clean was 120, I think, with him, which I don't see any problem with 120. I mean, it's the high end of the dosage.
right.
The T3, he had me at 75 on that prep. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was 75.
Okay.
It was between 50 and 75. Keep
Yeah.
in mind, this has been 15 years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but moving forward later in preps, I didn't need that. But the one
No.
thing I will say, it taught me how to be fucking mentally strong.
Yes.
Like
Agreed.
by doing that, like I don't think that style was best for
Same.
my body type, but it taught me how to be tough. Because
Yes.
prior to that, I thought doing 20 minutes of sprints and that's all I needed. I'm like, yeah, and then like, but I didn't know as a teenager. Like I genuinely didn't know that like eating low carb hamburger buns and stuff like this, that it's not that I cheated because I never cheated. This was on my plan that I built myself,
Right.
but I just didn't understand. I didn't have the knowledge.
Right.
So fast forward, 6 years later, I got the knowledge, and then now I have the mental strength to push.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And
I also think with age, like if I could take myself now at 37 and take like my mentality that I have and put it back on the 27-year-old version of me, I'd walk laps around myself.
oh, agreed. Yes.
I mean, because with age, we've all had to overcome things, and the things that we thought were hard in our 20s, we look back and be like, yeah, that shit was a cakewalk. Like you had to
Right.
deal with a little bit of stress here and there, that's nothing.
Right.
Like you had some aches and pains, that's nothing.
Right. Do you feel like all the coaches you've had help shape you and your coaching now with your clients?
To some extent,
Hmm.
I will say that I will not discredit anyone. To some extent, there is things that I learned through Shelby. There is things that I learned through Jason, and I only worked together for a week. It was literally this was before Scooby Prep ever became a
Oh,
thing.
of
This
course.
was way before that. I didn't pay him. I was like a test client.
Oh, right.
He
Yep.
was just he was learning the ropes himself. But
Mm.
he did teach me a little bit about like I did learn a little bit in that week because I do feel like I absorb information if I'm interested in it. It's like
Yeah.
school, I learned it, but like with bodybuilding, I wanted to learn it. So there's a
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
So like I absorb information very well.
Mm.
And then everyone that I worked with, I did take little pieces like this works, that don't work. But I was always constantly reading articles, reading other people's stuff. Like I learned a lot just reading the old forum boards back before social media.
Oh,
I
yeah.
learned there was so much golden knowledge on those
Yep.
that, I mean, granted, you have to pick and choose who you're listening to because there was always a few idiots.
Yes.
Um, we have a lot more of those nowadays, but still, like, I was able to take some of the successful guys and I learned a lot from them. But more importantly, I looked at like, say, like, take the chemical side of things. I'm looking at like more the molecular breakdown of certain things, like how it does this, aromatization. Like I'm learning a lot and I'm taking all this in. And then when it comes to training, to be fair with the training, I kind of figured most of that out by myself. Like if I'm being blatantly honest, like I figured most of that out just by me. Nutrition, that was more so like a 10, 15-year compilation of knowledge.
Right. Yeah.
And again, some of that did come through my mentors over the years, and some of that came directly from me. Like I have certain protocols that like I've seen people when I tell them to do that, like, oh man, I've never seen that before. And I was like, yeah, because you never worked with me before. I'm probably the only guy that does this. And then chicken and rice. Guess what? We all eat chicken and rice, right? There's nothing special about that.
So you had mentioned about your digestion being off and needing to get figured out. Like, at what point of your career were you finally like, man, I've got to take a hard look at this? There's no more just like shoveling food in and fit and like dealing with issues
Do what now? Repeat that.
with your digestion. Like, at what point did you say, I have to like do a hard dive on figuring my digestion out, or I'm not going to get any more progress?
There was two things that like I think when you start seeing guys with their digestion off and their stomach not looking right, it could be a million different things that's causing that.
Right.
But two things that I think that were affecting mine negatively. So I have what I'm going to call a slow bowel.
Okay.
Like it's not IBS-C, but it's not far away from it either.
Right. Okay.
So I learned there's a couple of supplements that I've added, and I still take these to this day, and
Okay.
I've had zero problems, none. Um, Once I figured that out, but also the fiber as well. So like I was always kind of like higher fiber.
Okay.
I actually used to calculate this into my own plans where I was getting like somewhere 60 to 90 grams of fiber sometimes a day.
Oh, wow.
Once I got rid of that and actually learned how to make my body function and excrete, for better lack of terms there,
Right.
how to go to the bathroom, right?
Right.
Once I got that right, my stomach immediately started getting smaller. And it was kind of weird because I noticed my abs kind of started, instead of pushing out, they were kind of slowly working their way like in.
Mm.
So unfortunately, I never displayed that particular physique. You started to see, you could see it coming around if you look at the Golden State show.
Mm.
That was my favorite look. Some people said, "Oh, it's too big," and I'm like, if you say it's too big, you probably shouldn't watch bodybuilding.
Agreed.
But like, if a guy's got a small waist and you say it's too big, then you're in the wrong damn sport. Watch something else. Go watch baseball, football.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of me learning and figuring out what was going on.
Right. I don't know if you saw this with your clients, but through the whole like COVID experiment that we went through, when people would get that and come back to me, their digestion was just wrecked. Like they couldn't eat. The food that we normally were getting down wasn't working for them. And it forced me as a coach to like dig my heels in and learn digestion for a broader spectrum other than just strict bodybuilding. And I think that's helped my clients progress more in the last 5 years than anything.
I wish I could say I had the same experience, and maybe I just got kind of lucky as a coach.
Okay.
I didn't really have, I had a handful, maybe like 4 or 5 that actually had COVID that was bad,
Mhm.
bad.
Yeah.
A lot of them, a couple of them said, "Oh, I can't smell anything." I know one guy still can't smell to this day.
Right.
Like literally, I could put a steak in front of his nose and he wouldn't smell
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah, and I know a couple of people don't have any taste still. 4 or 5 years later, they have no taste.
Mm.
Which I mean, that thing I was like, well, you should be able to diet really good because like
Yeah.
you shouldn't crave anything.
All the fish.
Go eat some more celery.
Yeah,
You'll be all right.
yeah. Right.
Like you can't taste it anyway. Just go eat some celery sticks.
You're right.
But I got lucky. I didn't have any clients really suffer too much on that.
Oh, that's good.
I had a couple that got sick, but yeah, but like, and surprisingly, I was a guy who I defied every single mandate, every single rule. I didn't do any of that bullshit. I didn't get vaccinated. I didn't get any of that. And rather than brag about, I'll knock on wood here in my chair, I never caught it. To the best, if I caught it, it didn't do anything to me, and I just didn't even know I had it.
Yeah.
We're on the same boat.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
like
laugh
I
about that
didn't.
a lot actually, because I was like, well, I did everything wrong supposedly, and nothing happened to me. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to discredit it too much because, like, I understand everyone's a little different. Like my friend, he's one of my good fishing friends.
Mhm.
Right when me and him met, we actually met. We met because his wife just got put on a ventilator, and he just wanted to go out and fish in the local spillway just to blow off some steam, kind of clear his mind. And that's where I met him at.
Oh, wow.
So like and she actually did pass away too. She passed away about 2 weeks later.
Jeez.
Now, me personally, knowing what I know now, I think the ventilator had a whole lot to do with her passing, and obviously them not allowing certain medications.
Yeah.
So, but again, this was early, this was early on, and nobody really knew what to do or how to handle things.
Right. Dave, do you have a handful of questions for Justin?
No, I was interested on the digestion side of thing. You mentioned a couple supplements you took that helped a lot.
There is one other thing
Okay, yeah.
that I'm going to bring up on that, and this is something that a lot of people don't ever need to worry about. I can't remember the name. This is not a supplement. This was an actual prescription drug that I had a doctor prescribe to me. And it's designed to kill like candida overgrowth,
Oh, wow.
like
Okay.
the gut bacteria. And apparently I had quite a bit of it because I ran 2 courses of this. And I bet you I went down, if I would have pulled a vacuum in, I probably lost 3 inches.
Jesus. Okay.
Like, so that was that. And I didn't change my diet. I kept right on going. I can't, and again, this was also about 9 or 10 years ago. So I don't remember the name of it. I'd have to
Yeah.
Google it, look it up. But like, it's one of those things that a doctor, you got to find the right doctor because most of them, they're going to look at you and be like, "Oh, you're just fat or you just eat too much." I'm like, no, it's neither. But, he actually helped me out. And that was probably the biggest thing.
Okay.
That was the biggest thing. that probably made the best difference to me.
Yeah.
The drug started with an N. That's all I can think of right now. It started with an N.
Okay.
So maybe we can look that up and Google it, and if you want to post it up put it up in the screen or
Of
something.
course, yeah. Yeah, I definitely will. So what you just said about like prescription drugs and digestion and things, like are you on this like retatrutide train or not? Like Dave and I aren't, so I'll give you that's our thought process. Like we aren't a part of that group. Like are you on the other side of that or somewhere in the middle?
No, I'm more so like I can justify in a very, very small percentage of cases, but
Same.
for the vast majority of people, like I think right now it's such a money train that
Yes.
like coaches are getting kickbacks from people
Right.
who sell this,
Hmm.
and it makes the process easier for some people. And I hate to say this, but like for example, I'll see like not a bodybuilder, but let's say a celebrity. XYZ celebrity, Chris Helmsworth, whoever, picture them with abs, and everybody's like, well, it's easy when you have a chef and retatrutide. I'm like, you do realize people have been getting shredded for fucking decades,
Yes.
long before this. It's like everybody, when people see somebody who's lean now, it's Ozempic or retatrutide. I'm like, yeah, there's this thing called dieting that's been around since the beginning of time, you dumbasses. Like when and this is not from a body perspective, this is the general public. They think that like everything now is, oh, he's on peptides, he's on retatrutide, he's on. I'm like, maybe he is, but like you can do all this shit without it.
Right.
Like
Yes.
my thoughts with the Retta and all of the new stuff,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
So I have seen results off of like SLU or SLU.
Hmm.
I have seen some pretty wacky results off this.
Okay.
The reason I don't just throw it on every single plan is because remember when Carterine came out and it was like the shit, and then all of a sudden it got linked to cancer.
Correct. Yes.
Well, it's one of those things that like my philosophy is if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Right.
So look at Ozempic with the original GLP-1. When that came out, people thought that was going to just cure obesity.
Yes.
Well, now they're over $2 billion deep in lawsuits just due to side effects.
Right.
So I tell people like you may not see side effects today, tomorrow, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever. I was like, if this stuff can go on for 2, 3, 4 years, and I'm not seeing like nobody's dying, nobody's having major health issues, then I will be on board with it because I don't want like, I've had people say like, just because you had to diet hard doesn't, technology's changed. Why do you want to make other people suffer? I'm like, I don't want to make you suffer. I don't. I'm trying to look out for your health instead.
Correct. Yes.
Like I don't want to make your life more difficult by not allowing you to use it. And the thing is, I actually have some people, I've got several clients that use it, and I tell them like, use it at your discretion. I'm not telling you not to, but use it at your own discretion.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Dave and I say this all the time. I know what Serostim does. I know what Humalog does. I know what Test Step and Network does.
I know where this conversation is going. Yeah.
Yes.
So, like we know what the side effects of like Test Deca, D-ball. We know what all this is. We don't know what this new stuff is.
100%. Yep.
So that's my only downside to it is like if something hasn't been around for a while, and keep in mind the dosages and the way that bodybuilders do things is different than clinical trials as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like you're never going to find a clinical trial of someone using 1,000 milligrams of test, but we are the clinical trial.
Right.
So like we kind of know, but when it comes to the Retta and stuff like that, you also got to take into consideration that whenever like researchers, developers, doctors, when all those people are developing these drugs and making them and they're looking for side effects, they're not putting it in people that's already taken 8 other compounds.
Right.
So you got to think drugs do have interactions with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are failing to realize. And now so far, I will say this, I have not seen any negative side effects from Retta thus far with people. And I'm glad because because half the industry is using it.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want to see problems with people. I don't want to see anybody suffer from health problems, short term or long term. So I hope and pray for everyone's sake that it is a safe drug to use. Yeah. I'm just not sold on it yet.
Yeah, we're the same way. It's like you said about the suffering. I don't want someone to suffer, but being hungry is part of bodybuilding, and like that's what I grew up on. Like And then when you flip the coin to all season and you see people saying, "Oh, I'm keeping it on my all season," I'm thinking to myself, shouldn't your food be so sky high you want nothing to slow that down? And like they can't correlate those things.
Well, they're doing it for the insulin sensitivity benefits of that, but then
Right.
like the way that we used to do that was just doing diets, many diets
Yes.
here and there. Like, and that's I'm very old school with how I do things. So like I do that with a lot of my clients. I'm like, if you want to use Retta, that's up to you. Use it, fine. But like I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not telling you the dosages to do because I barely know the dosages.
Right.
I literally have, this sounds bad, but I haven't given a shit enough to really do a lot of research about it, if I'm being honest. And the reason I haven't done the research about it, because right now where it's new, guess what? All the research is great.
Right.
It's gonna tell you all the good stuff. There is no bad stuff coming out yet. And again, I hope that there is no bad stuff comes out. I really do. Just simply because it would affect a lot of lives if it has.
Yeah. You have any more questions, Dave?
That was a really good one, honestly.
Yeah.
The coming back to your off season, just like this is kind of a fun one. But what was I mean, we all have our favorite meals. Like mine's always been chicken, cream of rice, and almond butter. Um, you're a bagel guy. Is there a reason for that, or is it more of a taste thing?
I eat bagels here and there throughout my off season, but I mean, I consider myself more like an average Joe now. Like
Yeah,
rather than like I don't consider myself a competitive bodybuilder because I look better than a lot of competitive bodybuilders, but I don't eat like it at all. Like I say this to people, I don't deserve to look the way I look right now, considering how I eat. But I also think 20 years of building that muscle is why I'm where I'm at too.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. If you replicate what I'm doing right now, you're not going to look like me at all. And I promise you that. Even with good genetics, you're still not going to do it.
yeah,
But generally speaking, I liked like the foods that I liked and the foods that I didn't like as far as like sources. I never really cared for chicken that much. Like it seemed like it was just slow digesting. So like my protein sources were oftentimes ground beef and fish.
Okay.
That was even off season. That was my preference was ground beef and fish. I loved sweet potatoes, but I realized fiber was starting to catch up to me on the sweet potatoes, so I had to kind of back off of them towards the end. I love potatoes in general, but like again, you can't eat 3 pounds of potatoes a day, 4 pounds a day.
Right.
Like, so I started incorporating stuff. Like one of my favorite meals is I would take either bison or beef and I would mix that with rice and black beans. And I would only use like 4 to 5 ounces of the meat because the black beans, when I'm adding a cup of that, I'm getting an extra, I don't know the exact number, like 15 grams of protein from that alone. And it's a complete protein as well. So it's like you don't have to have 100 grams of protein in your meal for it to be effective. So that, and I would kind of dump a little salsa on top of it. That was something that I would do like for off season. I've always been a big fan of Mexican food, and that was like the
yeah.
cleanest way I could make Mexican food.
Yeah.
Cream of rice and protein powder. As long as I had good tasting protein powder. Another favorite of mine was in the off season, as I like yogurt and granola. Like towards the end of the night, I would basically freeze it about 30, 40 minutes before I was going to have it. And then I get plain Greek yogurt, non-fat. What is it called? Like Fage,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fage, but I think it's pronounced
One of those,
Fage.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would get the fat free, and I would take vanilla extract, and I would put like 2 droppers in it, like 2 packs of stevia in it, and then if I'm gonna add protein to it, a little bit of the protein, usually about 15 grams of protein, not for the flavor, but just to get my macros where I wanted them at. And then sometimes I'd mix peanut butter in that, depending on fats, whether they needed to be there or not be there. Mix all that up, stick it in the freezer, and that was like my bedtime snack, and I'd have granola with it. That was one of my things to get a lot of food down. And I also like pasta as well. But I would use, instead of using sauces and stuff, I'm a ketchup guy. And I love ketchup. So I would just use low sugar ketchup. And I like the pasta with either fish or beef as well. Like I didn't like the chicken with it. Chicken
Yeah.
just seems like it digests very slowly with me.
Totally
Eggs I
makes
could
sense.
take or leave. I mean, I've done a lot of different things. Those are probably the meals that I could say that I could enjoy while still being in a major caloric surplus.
Did you do
Like for
cheat meals in
me,
your preps or no?
in prep, no.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I did. So it's not really a cheat. The way I define like it. So I guess we have to redefine what cheat meals is when I say
Right.
this. So
Oh,
when I
yes.
did the Orlando Pro, that was the freakiest my metabolism ever got.
Okay.
I don't know why or how that prep. Maybe it was because I was, the age was still on my side. I mean, shit, it was just 2 years later that like I never went like low carbs. Like
Okay.
I never had to. But like my regular carb day was 750 to 800 grams, like at like 3 weeks out.
Oh, that's
My
great.
high day, I got as high as 1,800 grams of carbs on the high day.
Jeez.
And the way I got thinking, trying to eat 1,800 grams of carbs with rice or cream of rice, you're not doing that.
No,
So
no,
I
no.
used to use like Ezekiel granola. I'd use Ezekiel bread. I would use bagels. Um, I would use pasta with that. But again, I was planning this, measuring this, and this is how I had this scheduled. So like I didn't, there was never one time throughout my entire bodybuilding career that I had a meal that was unscheduled in prep. If it was not supposed to happen, it didn't happen in prep. I would have rather just went without and starved before I go. I'm like, well, shit, I'm out of food. I've got 5 hours on this layover because of flight's cancellation. I'm like, guess I'm just going to be hungry as hell today. That's just how it was going to have to be because I wasn't gonna erase progress by going over to Burger King or wherever in the airport, to get food. And I see so many bodybuilders fall victim to that.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a cop out.
Yes.
So, and there's a few guys that can probably do it and get away with it, but for me, I probably was one that could have gotten away with it. I just mentally couldn't let myself do it.
Yeah.
Now, even when I was off season, cheat meals was scheduled. They
Right.
weren't just like if you were my family or friend or partner at that time, whoever I was dating, you couldn't just hit me up at like 6 o'clock and say, "Hey, do you want to go out to eat?" I'm
No.
gonna look at you and just be like, "No." Like no, I'll go with you and I'll bring my food, but I'm not gonna eat out.
Right.
But no, I'm not saying I never ate out, but I scheduled my times accordingly.
Yeah.
I mean, I
That-
was I was definitely more structured than I think the guys that I was around of like my era.
yeah.
The other pro bodybuilders, like I didn't really start hanging out with pro bodybuilders until I was a pro bodybuilder.
Right.
I
Yes.
mean, Mount Sterling, Kentucky, there is none where I grew up at.
Right.
So I didn't hang out with other pro bodybuilders. So I didn't know the things that they did. I didn't know that a lot of these guys still drink. They drink alcohol. I had no idea. I thought alcohol was like the devil to bodybuilding. So I was like, I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to smoke weed. I'm not going to do this stuff. And then I hear about guys doing coke and then they're partying all night long. And I'm like, whoa, like I didn't know that this stuff existed like in this sport, but obviously it does.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it actually was a benefit and a plus for me to never be exposed to that at a young age because I never saw it and I didn't think it was normal. So therefore I didn't do it. Now, my career and my health may have taken a different turn if, say, 2009, I started hanging out with pro bodybuilders, like not the good ones, because let's face it, the good ones aren't doing that shit.
Right.
Um, Now, I will say this: I did watch one guy. I won't name drop him because he is a very important figure in the sport.
Okay.
I watched him get shit faced drunk at 3 weeks out of a pro show, and eating junk food all night long. Shows up and wins the pro show 3 weeks later. And to be fair, he guest posed that evening as well. And I thought he was full blown off season.
Oh, wow.
He looked like shit in that guest posing, and somehow shows up razor sharp 3 weeks later. But
Jeez.
that's made where he's a veteran. He's retired now.
Right.
I'm assuming that he had a very long career.
Yeah.
I'm assuming over that career he must have learned what he can and can't do and get away with.
Right.
But like if I would have saw that at like 17 to 20 years old, I'd be like, oh, well, that's normal. I can do that too. And I think that would have probably changed the entire trajectory of my career because I would have fell victim to those habits.
Right. Was there anyone where you got backstage at a show and thought, Jesus Christ, I didn't even know a human could look like that? Like up close and personal.
Probably three people.
Okay.
One at the time, when I did the Chicago Pro, my pro debut, everyone said that Rolly was coming in 20 pounds heavier. And I was like, well, he's going to be fat.
Right.
I was like, well, I'm going to beat this guy. So I was like, I'm not even worried about him. And he did win that show. That was the year that he left grandma and he started doing things on his own.
Right.
And I remember it 2 days out at we had an athlete, not an athlete meeting. Well, we did have that too. We had a press conference
Okay.
at the Chicago Pro, like where the fans could ask questions to us,
Yes.
much like the Olympia.
Yeah.
And I remember Rolly sitting there 2 days out and his face was all fucking swollen. I was like, yeah, he's fat. I was like, I wasn't even worried about the guy.
Right.
Well, come prejudging, we all get backstage. That face sunk in. I don't know what he did. I heard what he did, but I again, since it's secondhand information, I don't know if it to be true.
Right.
And Rolly and I didn't actually talk at that show. Like we head nodded, was about it. And I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, well, his face it literally looked like a different human in 2 days. And he peels his clothes off, and I was like, well, fuck me. I should just go home. Like, that was my thoughts. I was like, there ain't no point in me being here. Like, I don't even want to walk on the stage because now I feel like I looked at all the other guys. I was like, I could potentially beat them. I felt like I should have been third in that show, and they gave me fifth. But, like, when I saw him, I was like, it kind of crushed me because, like, I know I can't beat this. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, fast forward, the next guy that I saw that just like when I was backstage that I'm like, holy shit, Kai Greed in 2016. And I think the 2016 version of Kai might have arguably been the best Kai Greed, not just because I competed with him. I couldn't have beat the 2013 version either. So let's just fix that.
Right.
Like, I wasn't going to beat that either.
Right.
But like the 2016 version, I don't think he was quite at his peak body weight, but his shape was there. Like he fixed the gut issues.
Yeah.
And I remember going into that show, and this is social media era now.
Yeah.
And I remember going to that show and I was following him, and he had just started a company called Savage Roar. You remember that?
Yes. Yeah.
And he was traveling from like one country to the other, like through prep.
Yeah.
So in the back of my head, I was thinking, he skipped the 2015 Olympia. And obviously you remember the drama behind that.
Correct.
And I was like, he starts a company. And just like all these guys do, they start a company and they want to try to promote it through their own competition. Yeah. It works for some people like Jay.
Yeah.
You know, when Jay came back in 2014, I don't think Jay had any intentions of winning that Olympia. No. But he knew his name and the weight behind him, he can push his own supplement company.
Correct.
So I think that was the sole reason why he did that. Right. But I saw Kai and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so Kai's actually kind of retired. He's just doing this shit for fun. And I never thought about it. I never thought that Kai was going to beat me. I expected him to look kind of fat and out of shape. I was like, he's probably going to muscle me. Right. But then for prejudging, he was late. He was asleep in his room. Like someone told me that George had to go pound on the door to get him to wake up and get him to come downstairs. So I'm thinking, oh man, this guy's a fucking mess. I was like, he's been looking like total shit.
Right.
Well, as soon as he took the tracksuit off, I was like, I'm sitting here pumping up, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, just like, fuck. Like, no matter what angle you saw him from the front, the side, or the back, I was like, you're if you get in the same call out, you should be happy.
Right. Like,
if you get to stand beside of him, you should be happy with that.
Yeah.
But like, there was no one going to beat him there. And then the last person was Phil.
Right. Yeah.
When I saw Phil's not as big as Kai, but the way, like the prime Phil Heath.
Yeah.
The prime Phil Heath had a look about him, and that's why he won so many Olympics. He had the it factor. You know, the way his muscle bellies pop, the way, like just how full they were. Like if you put a tape measure around my arm versus his, mine was probably bigger, but it didn't look like his. It didn't look as big as his.
Right.
The like when he would pump up, we're all backstage hanging out, and it was just like my eye. I was like, well, clearly, I mean, at that point, I think he was a 5-time Mr. Olympia already. I was like, well, that's why, because I can see, you know, fans see pictures and stuff, and they're like, oh, Phil doesn't look good here. You know, they hate on Phil, but I'm like, if you saw the man 5 feet away, you would shut your mouth real quick.
Right. Yeah.
Like I knew that show was over. And I think Dexter or Sean got second that year.
Okay.
And I don't remember which one of them it was, because I think the following year it got flipped between Dexter and Sean. And they kind of one of them made a statement. It may have been Sean, it may have been Dexter against a long time ago. They said that they should have won. I'm like, nah, nah, like you're delusional, man. Nah.
That's incredible. Well, Justin, that's been an hour. I just want to say thank you for all these cool stories and just in my mind, what you touched on in this last hour, the next generation of bodybuilders needs to hear. And that's Dave and I's mission is, hard training, bodybuilding foods done year after year, and like just continue to refine your process. And what you just laid out for us was pure gold, man. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean the motto behind that would be, you have to consistently be consistent and you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Those are the two best phrases in bodybuilding that's going to take you from, good to great.
Yes. Yep. 1000%. Is there anywhere people can reach you for coaching or follow a YouTube channel or something like that you want to shout out to?
Um, they can hit me up on Instagram. Like my YouTube, I'm so hit or miss on it, if I'm being honest. I'm not consistent with it. So reaching out to me on YouTube is not the easiest way.
Right.
Instagram's the fastest way, but I also do have a website. It's,
Okay. Okay.
www.justincompton.biz.
Okay.
So if you guys could link that down or something, they
Of
can they,
course.
they can go there, and that's where they would sign up at on coaching.
Okay.
Or if they just want to ask me questions to fill out, like maybe we're a good fit, maybe we're not. There's a place on my site where you can email me, but it's faster because that site has to forward the email to mine.
Okay.
So sometimes it may be a day or two before I get back to people. The fastest way is just hit me up on my Instagram page.
Perfect.
I check it every single day, so I'll
Thank
get
you.
back to people quickly.
Excellent. Well, Justin, thanks again for just Dave and I. Another podcast in the books. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Absolutely. Thank you guys.